Okay, welcome back. So let's continue our discussion of CSS. So what we did before was to copy paste or cut and paste the what do you call this? The style everything that was in the style tags, you know, to remove them from your index.html and paste them onto your CSS, your new CSS file. Okay? And what we saw, okay, what we saw then was that, the styles have been removed from our web page. So, like I said before, this is just a plain web page without any kind of CSS, any kind of styling. Okay. Now, since you have the styles in your your new CSS file, so this should affect the background of the web page, and then the HR should appear in a certain way. Okay. Now what you need to do is actually to create a link. Create a link between your index.html file and your CSS. So how do we do that? What you need to do is to place your cursor right after the title tag. So remember that the title tag is within the head tag, and just type in link, and normally it should autocomplete if you have the right packages. So this is what you're going to have. Okay, this particular tag. Let me just do that here. Remember, within the head tags and right after the title tag, link. So that's what I have. Okay, what does this do? What this does is to establish, this tag establishes a link between your HTML and a style sheet. As you can see, that establishes a relationship between those two things, and at the same time it tells the browser where that style sheet is. So this is actually, a reference to the location of the style sheet. Now the first thing you need to do is to make sure, once you have this, the first thing you need to do is to make sure that you are actually referring to the right file. Okay, so if we go back to Atom here, that's not exactly the the right file name, because it's just a generic name for the main CSS file, while my CSS file is actually named so I need to change that styles to yo. The file name doesn't really matter what kind of file name you give it, so long as you have the extension and that type in the very same name, okay, as the actual file. So that's what you needed to do. I'll save that. But if you go back here to my web page, I refresh it, nothing has happened. Why? Because there's still something wrong. What is that? As you can see here, you actually need to remove that /y, because the / refers to, or directs the browser to the root of your website. Now, for our purposes, we won't talk about that yet, or maybe in this class we won't talk about it. Since we are working on a static website, you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so this refers the browser to the root of the website. Our website, the web page we've been working on, is not live, it's just static, so you have to remove that. Okay, so you also have to remove that here, so that it simply refers to this. As you can see, it gives the browser information about where to find the file. So the folder here, CSS, and then that // means that this particular file is within that folder. So, okay, I hope that's clear. I'll save that. We can check if it works. If there's a link now, we refresh, voila. Okay, we're back to the styles that we had before. This specific color and this styling of the horizontal row. Okay, so it works. We've established the link between the HTML and the CSS. Yeah, so it should look like this. I hope that's clear to you. Now, just to make it very, very clear, this is how the browser reads your files, okay? So the browser takes the file and then takes your CSS file and applies it, since there's a link between the HTML and the CSS, applies it to whatever HTML file has this particular tag. This tag that refers to this specific file, okay? So like I said, if you saved your HTML, your CSS, refreshed your web page, you would see that the styles, indicated here, referred to here, and contained by the CSS file, which is this, all of this gets applied to that, okay? So this is external CSS, okay? Because the styles are outside the HTML file, okay? So just to be very, very clear, so long as an HTML file has this, if your HTML files have this, then they would have the same styles contained in that file, that CSS file. Okay. Now, how do you make the link? I mean, at this point, this CSS file and all the styles that it contains, it only applies to our main index.html. But what you want to do is to apply this across all your web pages. So if you, just to be clear, if I go back here, I have that contact me page, right? That's a link to a sub web page. If I click on it, no, wait, because I've already done it. I'm gonna remove that first. Okay, save. Okay, normally it should be like this. So it doesn't have any styling, okay? But we need to make a link between the CSS file and this sub web page. So how do we do that? So if we go back here, just to illustrate it again, if I press on that, it doesn't have anything, okay? So it doesn't have styling. Now, if I go back here to my main HTML, I select that, Control C, I copy it, and then in the same location, I'm now at one of my sub web pages. I copy paste that, so long as you have this tag, the link tag, and the same reference to that correct folder and to that correct CSS file. So this web page should contain the very same styles. So let's see. Okay, that's what you saw before. This is how it's supposed to be. All right. So we made a link, and you can also do that to your other sub web pages. Okay. So we made the link. We copy pasted this from the main HTML file into our sub one of our sub HTML files, which is the contact one. Okay, so that means all of the styles that you have in the external style sheet will be applied to all the web pages that have this link. So this is how you make the link between the external CSS to all your sub web pages, to your main web page and all the sub ones. Okay, so it then makes sense so long as a web page, the code of the web page has this link and refers to that file. If you make any changes in the external style sheet, if you make any changes here, then those changes will be reflected here, in the main HTML file and in the sub ones. Just to give you an example, let's see, we can change the background color. I'm gonna go to color hunt and let's choose another background color. Let's suppose that I want this gray one. I'm gonna copy that. Okay, and I go back to the external CSS, Control V. Okay, it's the same one here. And which one was that? Here. Okay, so let's check. Voila, it has changed, and let's see if it works. It works. Okay, so like I said, whatever you do in your external style sheet, whatever changes you bring in, and so long as the HTML files have the same link, then you will have it. You will have those changes reflected in your web pages. Okay, now I'm gonna give you a challenge. Let me just go back. The challenge is, you see, this web page has an H1 and several H3s. What I would like you to do is to change the color of all of your H1s, if you have more than one, and H3s to this one, so to 844685. Don't forget the hashtag. If you go back to color hunt, I think it's this. It's this one. Okay, you just need the number, the hex value. That's all you need. You don't even have to go to this particular website. Okay, so this is what you need to do. Change the color of all your H1s and H3s in your main index.html and at least a couple of your your sub web pages. Okay, once you are done, if you're able to do that, you need to upload at least 2 files to Teams. Okay, that means no, make it 3 files. So one, your main HTML, sub HTML, and your CSS file. Okay, those 3 things need to be there. If you want, you can even, no, that's okay. Just do that and then I can check it. I'm sure your names will appear next to the files that you upload. So there is already a folder in Teams. It's called H1 and H3 challenge. So look for that folder. That's where you need to upload your work.